Hello people of the earth and welcome to QuickSaveTV. This is host Mike Pushkin here, and today we're going to begin the hardcore playthrough of Diablo 3, the one and only. Yes! And now you can see the resolve, my barbarian. I decided to call my characters by the feats of character that I respect and admire or want to have or do have. So here's my resolve, the barbarian. I have been forced to make his helmet invisible as it was immensely ugly. Yeah, everything else is like dusty color. Very, very cool stuff. This is my charming defiance, my demon hunter. Let's go ahead and create a hardcore character. Now, I've seen some hardcore playthroughs, specifically their beginnings, and the justification the players did for creating a wizard, the demon hunter, witch doctor, and etc. And I felt that those were excuses, and I shall not have any excuses here on this channel. So I'm creating a hardcore female barbarian, yeah, pumping the chest, calling her Freya. And Freya is the Norse goddess of warfare, love, fertility, and etc. etc. Wonderful woman, beautiful, charming woman. Let's go ahead and start as a barbarian. And you know why? And I think I forgot the hardcore mode because I am an idiot. Let us delete this character and create it once again. Create hero. No, switch hero, create hero. Let's call her Freya once again. Hardcore hero, yes. Freya, you're not Freya. You are Freya. Okay, and we're gonna start as barbarian, cause we're hardcore assholes, right? I mean, what reasons do we need to have to die? It's gonna be immensely difficult. I will have to be focused at all times. I will push the monitor a little bit further behind so that I can see it behind the microphone. The Act 1 cinematic. I will try to allow you to watch the cinematics, but it's not the attempt, you know. The attempt will be to give an educational and funny commentary for you to watch and enjoy, as specifically, you know, probably the one of the worst selections for hardcore, because you have to stay close to enemies and it's gonna be immensely difficult. And that's what it is. I mean, why else would you go for hardcore, right? I mean, the death is going to be inevitable. I will not be able to escape this fate. Eventually my character will die and I will lose all the progress on this character, and I'm ready for it. Just because I'm a hardcore asshole. And so we shall do that. While we're playing, I will give you a commentary which will be hopefully funny, but at the same time I will mix up some educational stuff so that you can probably maybe learn something from my playstyle or augment your own, okay? Okay, so we began. We're gonna particularly, focus on the shield, because it's just gonna feel more comfortable with the shield. At this point, I apologize for Jesus Christ, what is all this shit? Anyway, the point is that the original barbarian I've tried to create and created was the dual-wielding barbarian. Now I will probably focus on the shield plus one-handed. Why? Because it's just much more defensive, it just feels more effective, and I hope it will stay better, right? Although there is not a great difference between well-defended barbarian and well-defended barbarian with a shield. The difference is like less than 5%. The thing is, the shield, unlike dual wield or two-handed, provides you the blocking opportunities as well, additional defensive opportunities such as dodge. Okay, so block, each shield has a chance to block. This particular one has 12% chance to block. So 12% of the time I will block 7 to 12 damage coming to my character, which is again extremely defensive, right, and extremely effective at that. Let us go ahead and talk to Leah.
Are you Leah?
Are you Leah?
Survived the fallen star.
I love the voice of this woman. This is awesome. I have to admit.
I tried to search for him, but the dead were already rising. I came back here to rally the militia.
But
Watch out! The wounded are turning!
it's a trap. Fall back.
I gained
We
new
got
power.
him.
This is killing business.
Monies. And we get... I apologize, Jesus Christ. Hammer of the Ancients.
The dead were
Powerful
around
ability
us
which
all
deals 200%
before
damage
something was done.
and has a
I will
5% increased
send them
critical
back
hit
to their
chance.
graves. I will save your town.
Thank you. You should speak with Captain Rumford at the gate.
Now again, the thing about critical hit is you have to remember the way it operates, okay? It operates in a manner that
6 days now.
you have so many books to read, good God.
Captain
books.
Rumford and the others are
No, I
losing
love
faith.
it, but you know.
I tell them not to lose faith. Would have helped.
For many years.
Anyway, I'm just gonna talk over them. The way it works is you have a chance to deal damage that will be higher percentage-wise. So, with Hammer of the Ancients, because your original damage is to 100% from the weapon, you also, if you deal a critical hit with the Hammer of the Ancient, the damage will be proportionately much higher, twice as high than your original critical damage, which makes up for the small, you know, essentially very small area of effect, and it's essentially a very strong attack to have against a boss fight or an elite pack. I don't really like Hammer of the Ancients because my favorite main attack is Frenzy, which is essentially already anti-boss, anti-elite. And Hammer of the Ancient does not particularly add to my playstyle like this, so I don't really use it. But I have to admit this, you know, opportunity to deal a gigantic critical attack on the enemy, especially if you have, for instance, Access with a passive ability to have higher chance to strike a critical hit. It's very, very cool. Very strong abilities.
Many years traveling and writing about the strange creatures in our world.
Strange creatures.
Of the wretched mothers
Strange
still
creatures.
haunts me. They are the
It's not strange, it's just zombie, Deckard. Oh, come on now, you're exaggerating. It's all just stories, uncle. It's all just stories. Okay. New lore.
I will never forget the first time I saw these horrors shambling out of the misty woods. Our loved ones, buried long ago, rose from their graves and began to attack the living. However,
very effective. Also staggers the enemy, notice that? Very, very important. Prevents enemy from counteracting effectively to your attacks, making it, again, more and more powerful progressively. Part of the, when you consider what attack do you use on the enemies, you know, generally, against every specific circumstances, you have to also consider the opportunities to stun, to deal critical damage, you know, not just outright DPS, but also the consequences of your DPS. For instance, if you just deal a tremendous amount of damage, you do not necessarily have good defensive opportunities and maneuver opportunities, but you might want to sacrifice part of it just to have additional opportunities in defense, in offense, and in mobility, okay? It's not just about damage. Cool. Very cool stuff. Where we are. Chest, look at that. Never seen a chest here. Talk about randomization. Short bow. We don't really need that. We need the cloth though. Yeah, it doesn't really feel all that protected. Yeah, barbarians that have this thing, they don't really protect themselves. What the hell's the reason? We're gonna die anyway. Or we're gonna overpower the enemy anyway with the sheer force. No need for armor. And here we have some pumpkins. Pumpkin of the Ancients. Let's continue. Stump.
More fury.
More fury. She's so Russian. I mean, don't let anyone fool you. She is so Russian. Or Norse, if you prefer that. Adventurer's Corpse. This one less like.
While exploring a cave with hopes of finding hidden treasure.
Look at that, dodging the attacks.
Most grisly sight, a heap of dead bodies.
Grisly sights. Let's continue. And okay.
Items of value, they began to rise. I must tell them of this in New Tristram before it's too late.
This is not first or new to me, these things, the lore books and the story books, but I have to admit, the way they are presented, you know, it's just a very well thought out way to present the stories, in that you don't have to stop to do something, you know, you can just continue listening to it and pummel your enemy down. It's just great. It feels great, feels very well designed. In some circumstances they do clip, however. I mean, you start listening to a story and okay, you got a level. And because of that, you don't get the whole story, which is kind of sad, but you can easily listen to it, you know, you can stop it, you can list it. You can see all the list of the stuff you found in the past. So it's all no problem. Wow, it's a very good shield. 19% to actually block the enemy attack. Look at this block. Entirely blocked the whole incoming damage, which is just great. Gives additional opportunities to survive, and the higher the block chance, the better for a shield. Not necessarily the armor it provides, but the block chance. The block chance is in essence a additional dodge, okay? It's like if you dodge, you entirely avoid the attack. If you block the attack with your shield, and you block a certain amount of damage. Not always you block the whole damage, but even a part of this damage is very important. You know, it's very useful. And in case of Barbarian, as a thought-out tank class, it's generally when you're in a team of people, you usually assume the role of a tank. That's what happened with me, at least when we would play with friends. Excuse me. Super cuff.
Save yourself.
Okay. Shield in this case becomes,
Not enough
in a
fuel.
way, your main item, your main weapon. And you don't not so necessarily relying on the attack of yours. You are much more relying on the, you know, countering attacks, on parrying them, on blocking these attacks, so that you survive longer and continue to dominate the battlefield and prevent the enemies from attacking your teammates. It's very important. Again, it depends what playstyle you choose and how do you think out your character build. For instance, if you have a very high damage, it's even better shield. If you have a very high damage, it's not so important for you to block the attacks if you're confident that you can kill enemies faster than they can kill you. But if you don't, and if you want to have a safer build, generally, which is a wiser idea when you play in hardcore, you want to have generally higher vitality, you want to have additional dodge or block opportunities. That's what you aim for, you know, not so much additional damage, but rather block, dodge, and etc. Because this way, you have less risk of losing your character altogether. Yeah, you know, the build I've presented just yesterday, the Warmonger, was in essence a build not for a hardcore character. Why? Well, because I do die sometimes, you know, not as often, but I do, and each death would be on hardcore, it would be a game over permanently, right? And because of that, I have to be really careful. Armor of the Ancients is quite effective, as it seems, against the elites. Okay, we got a magic armor. Regenerates 1 life per second, which is good. A hand axe, let's see what a hand axe is about. A little bit better. I'm gonna use it now. At this stage of the game, we don't really act picky about the items we pick up. We can find upgrades even in gray and white items, but later on, as we progress in the game, we're going to ignore white and gray items altogether, except for when it's actually potions or something else, you know, something that is of value to us. Usually, these white and gray items, they will not be able to be sold for a reasonable price, so in essence, they are a waste of time, waste of effort to actually pick them up, because later on you'll have to throw them out of your inventory, and it's just, you know, bother for nothing, as they are not particularly useful. But in the beginning of the game, they can become upgrades for you. That's the only reason for you to, you know, actually use them. Wretched Queen, balanced. Sure, this is very good actually. Look at this, very powerful upgrade. Say hello to my little friend. Okay, we got this one. Very easy encounters. It's still normal. You know what? Actually, I wanted to share with you. The Blizzard have released some statistics of the general, you know, not important shit. Some of this was really interesting though. Specifically, the percentage of deaths on hardcore. 35% of people died in Act 1 normal. Which I really cannot imagine. How would it happen? But, you know, fine, okay. Says Mike, right? And 5 minutes later he dies in normal. Would be really funny. Anyway, regardless. Now that we actually got to the next stage of the quest, we're just gonna cut at this point. For some reason I have this cough all the time, and, you know, I would like to continue the series the same fashion, but, you know, just gonna stop at this point. I thank you so much for watching. Make sure to let me know what you think about it, what you thought about this, if you enjoyed it or not, and of course tell me if you would like to see one thing actually, if you would like to see a web camera in these episodes, or you don't really care, because right now it's just a pure gameplay footage. I could include a web camera, then I will have to make sure my hair are fine at all times. It's not a big deal, but the thing is that, you know, there is a negative side that is going to be a camera of mine right here, but a positive side is if I die, you will actually be able to see my facial expression. And yeah, well, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for listening, have a greatest day, and bye-bye. well done Blizzard cinematics. I mean, no goddamn wonder, right? Who would expect Blizzard made good cinematics? Wow, that's weird. I mean, when did they ever do them? Not only it does increase your outright damage, it increases your survivability and speed on the battlefield. It allows you to catch any kited enemies, and it essentially is very effective against elites and bosses. This is just immense.